Okay, good. First of all, I want to say thank you, Ambassador Yael Vilan. Thank you, Ambassador Yael Vilan, that you invited me here. And thank you for the CEO of the park and all those respectable people that you host me here. And I want to say special thanks to my family from Belgrade, because that you invited me here. I found my family here. My mother is here as well. And I want to say thank you to Predrag Fuje and Sasha Tajtekovic that came here today to be here with us. My name is Lili Ben Ami. I'm the CEO and founder of Mihal Sela Forum, msfglobal.org. My sister, Mihal Sela, you can see her in this picture. She was a social worker. She was only 32 when she was murdered brutally by her own husband in her own home in front of her baby daughter, 8-month-old baby, breastfeeding baby. I was the last person to see her alive. It was, we were together that night 2 years ago, and 1 hour and a half later, he murdered her own husband. There was no physical violence before. They were married only 1 year, and I asked myself, how come I didn't see anything? Actually, he never raised a hand on her. Michal didn't have a black eye. I asked myself, what was she going through this year? How could it happen? Why didn't she share with me? Could have I saved her? And I went to a journey where I didn't stop asking questions. I met with ministers in Israel. I met with specialists for domestic violence. I met with so many women. Our case was very famous in Israel, all over the news. So women could identify me in the street and they would come to me every day and tell me their story. So I met with women that were there in a domestic violence, and I met with specialists for domestic violence. And I started to put the picture together, and I got answers to all my questions. And the hardest answer was, yes, we could have saved Michal. If Mihal Sela Forum was exist 2 years ago, my sister was alive. The Mihal Sela Forum, in Mihal Sela Forum, we have a goal, a new global ecosystem of startups generating creative solutions to combat violence against women. Israel is a startup nation. I don't know if you know, but the Discon key is an Israeli invention. Waze is Israeli invention. A tomato cherry, it's Israeli. Israel is a startup nation, and also Israel is very strong fighting terror. We have terror experts, we have security experts. One of them is standing right here in the entrance, he's hiding, but because they but they are experts. You know, in Israel, I'll tell you one thing. Sorry for embarrassing you. We in MSF, we collaborate with security experts like him, with the IDF. We collaborate with high-tech specialists, and we put them in one table with social worker, domestic violence expert. And we are saying, like the Ambassador Vilan said, now we are thinking outside of the box, and we're going to solve it. We're going to find solution. Humankind, we saved much harder problems than this. I found out, sometimes people say domestic violence, relationship, it's complicated. It's a gray area. So I say no. There is violence and there is no violence. And we need to find what is black and what is white. It's not gray, but we need to we need to map this field, take out the challenges, the patterns. And when you find the patterns, you can do prevention. What I found out is I started to check what is the government do to stop the domestic violence. So I mapped this field. And you know what I found out? What the government is doing to stop domestic violence? Mainly, there are 3 solutions for the public, for the women that she's there. One is you can go to the police. 2, You can go to the welfare services, to the Center for Domestic Violence. And 3, a shelter. Police, welfare, and shelter. This is the main 3 solutions. And all 3 is only for the woman. All 3 is only after something very bad happened. And all 3 are the same solutions for 50 years. Hello, we're in 2021. The technology knows how to predict human behavior. You see it on commercials in the industry. I say, I love Serbia. Suddenly I see a commercial on my phone for going to take a flight to Serbia. You see it in security. For example, in Israel, we had, we called it in Israel the knife intifada, where you could see there were terrorists in their own home, not connected to organization, a person in their own home with no organization. They went to the street and they stabbed people with a kitchen knife. It was not long ago in Israel. And the Israeli security expert, they succeeded to stop this terror with AI, artificial intelligence. With technology we brought to the Pentagon in the United States. We can identify violence and prevent it before it happened. You know, my husband is a software engineer. I'm myself as a diploma in computer engineering. My husband worked in an Israeli company called Mobileye. Mobileye is a company where there are camera in the car, and the camera can detect an accident before it happened. How? If you're too close to the car in front of you, or maybe you drive and you go on this line that you shouldn't go and you go back, but when you go on this line that you shouldn't go on it, the driver, you hear beep, beep, beep. So you know, oh, okay, I should beware. Or if there is a walking passenger going next to your car, it beeps, it alerts you. So the technology can alert us if something bad might happen, and it can warn us. Look at COVID-19. You wear a mask. Why do you have mask? You want to prevent the pandemic. We know to do early detection of cancer. You teach the public, if you see 1, 2, 3, you should go to a specialist. This is what I want the government will do here, the same. We should teach the public. If you see 1, 2, 3, you should go for a specialist. So we harnessed the technology, we harnessed the security knowledge to save lives of women that are captive in their own home. I want to show you, this is my sister, Michal. She was only 32, a social worker. This is her and me, and this is us in our wedding, in her wedding. We did a butterfly on her grave because she was free person. Nobody will tell Michal what to do. She will do whatever she wants, and she would go out every day to festival and music. She was the first person to come out and dance and stand on this stage. She was stronger than me. She was beloved and colorful woman, self-security. She was very strong, very different sometimes from the stereotype of the woman that might be killed by her husband. I found out that the women that are being murdered by their husband are the strongest women, because she says, no, I don't want to stay with you when you treat me like this. And she fights, but you know, inside the closed room, inside the house, when the door is shut and the window is shut, and Michal fought for her life, there was his skin under her fingernails. In the end, he is stronger than us. We can be feminists, we can be leaders, we can be big bosses, but as women, we are weaker in our muscles, in our force. So we can harness technology, men and women together, to combat domestic violence. I want to show you one example of Israeli technology that was released this week, and they chose to harness it to Mihal Sela journey, this life journey to fight domestic violence. You're going to see my sister alive telling how she was murdered. It's not easy to see, but it's a campaign now running in Israel. They use technology. They took her picture, and she's speaking to you. So let's see. Can you play, Milan? Volume up, please. Can you go back?
In 2019, I was murdered.
Please go back and put the volume up. Israel Technology IDID.
And today, after I lost my life, I call on you. Listen to my voice. If you are in a relationship or were in a relationship and he is jealous and obsessive towards you, if you are afraid of his reaction to parting from you, share it with a close person and a domestic violence expert who will help you separate safely and return to your light. Listen to your gut feeling. Do it today. Listen to my voice. Listen to your voice.
Can you just play the beginning because we didn't hear?
I was Mihal Sela. In 2019, I was murdered by the man who was my husband, the killer, Ovim. And today, after I lost my life, I call on you. Listen to my voice.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you. Before I tell you more about the technology we do, I want to tell you that as a victim, by law, me, my family, we are called victims. נפגעי עבירה, I don't know the word in English, but so we found out the government, they came to us because Michal had a baby. And the government, they came to us and they said, you know, yes, your sister was murdered by your husband, but the baby, it's true, the baby is the murderer is in jail, but he has rights and he is our father. You, us, me, we will be her foster family, and he decides everything. He decides which education we take her, or medicine, or changing her name, or taking her abroad. You know what? You also need to take her every day to jail to visit him. I will take my sister baby to visit the murderer in jail every week. This is the law. You know what? It's everywhere in the world like this, because the murderer has rights. So what? He killed his wife, so he sits in jail, but he's still a father. Doesn't mean he's not a father anymore. He's her biological father. So we went to the Knesset of Israel, to the parliament, and we said, and we called our legislator, you should change the law. It can't be that a murderer of his wife will be the father of her children. And I'm happy to tell you that last year, on November, on the month where we combat domestic violence, the UN announced 25th of November as the International Day Fighting Domestic Violence. We passed the bill anonymously, everybody was for, and the bill, it's a new legislation, very new for the whole world. I hope you do it also here in Serbia. I met with your minister, I'm sorry, Ambassador Vilan, her name, the name of the minister we met? Yes, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to pronounce. We told her about this law, and the law we passed mean that if you killed your wife, or if you tried to kill her and you failed, they convict you for trying to kill her, or if you raped your children, you lose guardianship. And the murderer of my sister is no longer a father of her baby. So this is a picture from the Knesset, and you see my mother and I, and our goal in MSF Forum, in MSF Global, sorry, I'm a little bit excited. Our goal is 0 femicide per year. We do it by thinking outside of the box, bringing minds together for interdisciplinary collaboration through innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. You can see here, our partners are World Google. Google put money in our organization, Facebook, Amdocs, the biggest companies. Also, we work with the ministries of Law, of Justice, with the Ministry of Interior Defense, and with the Ministries of Welfare, and the Ministry of Technology and Science in Israel. They support us as well. And we are building every year, we did it twice already, every year on my sister's birthday on May, we are doing a hackathon. Hackathon means a competition between engineers, computer engineers, where they try to solve problems. So this is a virtual platform where you go, you can click on the rooms, you go into this place. Each stall is a different idea, technological idea to solve, to save life of women in danger in her own home. And you can choose if you're an engineer or, for example, if you are a sound professional. You can find an idea that needs the sound specialty and you can join the team. This is how each stall look like. And people from all over Israel, North, South, Arab, Jewish, religious, secular, they can be in one team of a startup, and for 72 hours online, because of COVID-19, they sit and they write code. They write a program to save life of women in their own home. And the final of the hackathon is in the President House, with the President of Israel and with ministers in Israel, and there are prizes. Inside this hackathon, we have this program, we call it Nothing About Us Without Us, which means on TV in Israel, I call women that are survivors of domestic violence, and I tell those survivors, if you experience domestic violence like me, you're my sister, join us. We invite you to workshops. We invite survivors into workshops with experts where they sit with those women, and those women bring from their experience, and those women, those survivors, they themselves find a solution, technological solution. So we succeeded to harness 70 survivors on last April to those workshops we did with EY Ernst Young. It's a big corporation. We did with them those workshops. Out of 70 women, 62 survivors found ideas, technological ideas that will save the next Michal, the next women, and they handed to the hackathon. In the hackathon, this competition of engineers, we accepted 35 of them. 35 good ideas. Each one of those survivors, these 35 survivors that had good ideas of technological solution, we gave her engineers. We work with the army, with the IDF, with the intelligence. There are engineers there. They gave us 122 software engineers. So each woman survivor got a group of engineers, and she's the head of the startup. She's telling, she doesn't have to have knowledge in computers or high tech, but she needs to have a good idea. And she's the head of this startup, and she has a group of engineers behind her, and they're doing what she's saying, and they're building this startup, and she's competing the hackathon as a head of a startup, and she's a survivor of domestic violence. This is Nothing About Us Without Us. I want, we had 2 hackathons and about 150 ideas in each of one of them. I will show you one example or two to technologies that can save lives of women and domestic violence. Let's see a short movie. Can you play, Vilan? And with sound, very important.
Guts in Lake Washington. And you know what else, huh? The murderer just gonna think you ran away. Molly, this guy.
אני ראיתי איך את מסתכלת עליו! אני עוד איך עוד בשקט, אני עוד איך... די! תמי כבר דבר! כאילו ככה, אני אראה לך מה זה מגיע לך, כאילו אני אביא את זה מהחדר! שקרנית, את פשוט שקרנית, לא אמרת שהתחתנתי איתך.
Shake off the apathy. Don't be a bystander. Record suspicious noises. Answer 5 simple questions. Recordings. The system also takes into account speech recognition, location, and reports from the same.
Thank you. If you look at the domestic violence world, usually the character, what you'll find is a language of victimhood. Even the picture that I saw here at first, before my presentation, there was a picture of a woman doing like this, crying, sad. The picture is always the woman with a black eye, she cries, victimhood language. You also see a language of problems. No money, no enough social worker, no, this, all the time problems and victimhood. And we say it's time for a new narrative. A new narrative. From problems and victimhood, we go into a new narrative of solution, power, and solidarity. The language of the violence is international. The patterns are the same patterns everywhere. The language of the victim is international. Why is she silenced? Why is she scared from him and she doesn't go to the police? Why is he want to control her? Why is he most dangerous when she's trying to break up with him? Why are the most killings during COVID-19 or during holidays? The patterns are the same patterns every day. The language of the victim, the language of the attacker, the language of domestic violence is the same everywhere. Our problem is worldwide problem. And if we combine hands and forces, shoulder to shoulder, we can win this. 2 days ago, I stood like this in the UN. I was invited to the UN in Geneva, and I told those stories. I said these words, and I'm happy to tell you that countries like Serbia, they invite us. They want to hear more. They want to do more, because this field of domestic violence, too many years, stayed behind. Let's see what else we can do. This is the hackathon in the President House of Israel. This is the president, and down there it's the winners. This is the former minister. This is the first hackathon. After the hackathon finished, this competition finished, and we have winners that they have the best technological ideas. We take them for a 3 months accelerator. We take the best ideas out of the hackathon. In the hackathon, we had 150 ideas. So out of these 150 technological ideas, we choose 10. We take the best 10 ideas, and with Google for Startups, in Google Campus in Tel Aviv, we take those 10 entrepreneurs, that some of them are survivors of domestic violence. By the way, most of the leaders are women, and we didn't ask for women, but I must say, but most of the leaders are women. We give them 3 months training, mentoring. We help them to take their technological solution so it will be a product on Google Play. So it could be, everyone can download it. This is our first entrepreneurs, and this is the second because we had 2 hackathons already. So we got phone calls on South Africa. We duplicated our hackathon. We did a Safe at Home hackathon in South Africa. And in Australia and New York, we showed our startups in Geneva and now in Belgrade. Okay, I will go, this is Google. Beside technology, I'm sure you will agree with me that innovation, it's not only technology. We can do innovation also with not technology. So on MSF Forum, MSF Global, Mihal Sela Forum, we are doing technological project and non-technological project, also innovative. And one of them is Mihal Sela Canyon, which means we take a woman that she's threatened for her life and she's in a shelter with her children because the government put her in a shelter because she's threatened, and we can take her out of the shelter because we bring her a protection dog. This dog, they are trained by former IDF specialists for dogs, protection dogs, and for 3 months, she and the dog, they go through a private training, and when the training is off, she gets the dog for life, for her and her children, and she can go back to her work. This woman, she had a private business. She had to stop it because she was in a shelter. She told me, Lili, I want to go back to work. I have a business, my own business. My children, they want to go to their school, to their friends. And the dog is with her 24/7 when she go to sleep, next to her bed, when she go to work, when she go jogging. We say, you shouldn't take the victim and put them in jail. You shouldn't lock the victim. She shouldn't be the one that should be afraid. I want him, the violent person will be afraid. You know, the real story of domestic violence is that she is the strong one and he is the weak. And I'm going to leave time for questions. These pictures, we found out that there is no even one organization that take care of the children that their mother was murdered. There is money for the government, maybe for orphans, but we are organizing, because Mihal Sela is very famous in Israel. Every time a woman is murdered, they call me. Every time. I don't know if you know that, but even the last week ago, there was an 18-year-old girl that was murdered in Israel by her boyfriend. So even this case, every time they call me, and many times there are children in the picture, children that their mother was murdered. So we do meetups for those children so they can meet someone that is like them, because those children in school, I'm not sure they have someone to share. Also, if you are a parent, that your child was murdered by her husband. So we do meetups, and you can see with the fire trucks, those children can meet and have fun. And I'm happy to tell you that the industry in Israel are from wall to wall. They support us, and everything is for free. I don't even need to put money. I just need to organize it so it happens. Because together, we can make the change. You know, alone we are strong, but together we are stronger. And together, we can win this domestic violence. So our goal in Mihal Sela Forum is an ecosystem of hundreds of solutions. Our goal is 0 femicide per year. Thank you. This is with Sheryl Sandberg. She's number 2 in Facebook, the CEO of World Facebook. She invited me to talk on her web Facebook. She has 2 million followers. It was a big honor for me. And we also do lectures because prevention is also education. So we use technology and education to do prevention. I'm here to answer questions. If you want, I can tell you about more startups. I don't know if we have time.
Ima neko pitanje? Okay, it's okay. I just wanted to ask one more time for applause for our guest. Thank you, Lili, for sharing your personal story and Israeli experience in addressing this subject. And please now feel free to ask the question. Also, Lili will be joining us for a discussion and refreshment afterwards, so you will be able to again directly communicate with her. Thank you.
I have a question. Hi.
Loudly, yeah.
Yeah, hi. My name is Boana. I have a question regarding, you mentioned that your MSF Forum works with both Facebook and Google. Did you...
אני לא שומעת אותך. תוכל להתקרב אליי, איבה? Sorry if I don't understand. I have hearing disabilities. Yes? Yes, we work with Facebook. תישארי לידי.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, I can remove my mask for this. Okay, so now we're good. So I am familiar with Facebook's problem, that internal problem they had with the patterns of violence that you have mentioned. I don't know if you are familiar, but they recently discovered their own engineers used Facebook's technology to stalk women and actually commit violence against them. So that's, I don't know if you had any information. So my question would be in regards to that, how do we prevent the misuse of technology and prevent it from coming to the wrong hands, sort of? Thank you.
Thank you. You know, first of all, I'm not Facebook's spokesperson, so I don't know about their problems and what they do. I can tell you that everyone that wants to join us, I say yes. Also in our government, I don't know if you know, but we have a our politics is not easy in Israel. There is two sides, and I work with everyone, right, left, religious, not religious, Facebook, Google, whoever says I'm with you, I say yes. I think we have no privilege to say I boycott someone because they are not 100%. So I don't know the story you just said, but I think sometimes I ran into people tell me things like that how can you collaborate with this and this, I don't know, the occupation, this and this. So I say I collaborate with everyone because we are dealing with lives, and whoever can find solutions that saves lives of women in their own home, I say, yes, I'm with you. Now, about your question, on our hackathon and each one of our projects, we have law specialists, privacy and ethics specialists, and they check those entrepreneurships. We also have researchers to each one of our pilots, so we can check ourselves, because in the end, what we're doing is innovation. What we are doing, no one did before us. So each pilot we do, we check it, we research it, and we see if we can keep on developing. But I can give you an example that, I'll give you an example of a startup that you understand what kind of technology we do. We don't follow people. I'll give you an example. Women that suffer from domestic violence, in most cases, her husband is looking in her phone, he's putting spying on her car, he's going into her email, he's going into her Facebook and deleting her male friends. This is very common for women who live, it's like a KGB on your shoulder. Every minute of the day, where are you, what do you do? So one of our entrepreneurs, she developed a program that you can download it to your phone, and it can tell you, it can detect abnormal behavior on your phone. It can detect if someone in the middle of the night going into your email, looking at your pictures, maybe deleting your emails. The AI can identify if someone else is using your phone, even by the way you do with your finger on the screen. Or of course, there's a camera that can detect other face. So her name is Monica Berko, and she called this startup Aware. So this is an example of a startup that can help a victim find out that she is suffering from a domestic violence, because many times you don't even aware that you are there. My sister didn't know that she's in danger. Like the Mobileye technology I told you before, sometimes we need some technology that tell us, beep, 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 be careful, you know what could happen. I'll give you another example, a technology that is being developed in Mihal Sela Forum. You know Hello Siri? Hello Siri it uses technology that operates your phone without touching your phone. By voice, you can operate your phone, give commands. So use this technology to save life of women in danger. How? This technology can identify that you're in distress. For example, you download it to your phone voluntarily, and you choose safety people, like your best friend, your sister. And when this technology identifies that the owner of the phone is in danger, for example, a high decibels of scream of the owner of the phone, or furniture plate breaks, or you say the code word you chose, like help me, this is your code word. So when it identifies it, it calls your safety people, and they can hear what you hear. It operates the microphone, the camera, GPS. So if my sister had this technology in her phone, she could be with us today, because I live 3 minutes away from her. And her murderer, he took the phone away from her, and she couldn't call me. She couldn't call anyone for help. So if the phone over there without touching could call for help by itself, or for example, it can also help when there is an elderly person that has a heart attack and he calls, help me, and the phone calls by itself to their son. Or for example, when you have children and you put with a babysitter, the phone can detect that your baby is screaming and nobody is coming, and it calls the parents, and the parents can hear. So it can, those apps, this technology can protect us also in other situations, not only domestic violence. And I think sometimes people tell me, would your sister download this app to her phone? And I say, no, she didn't know she's in danger. But if we, for example, make an app that is on an app like Waze, that everyone has it on their phone, and you can choose to operate a safety mechanism that can protect you even if somebody rape you in a parking lot. So, you scream, the phone calls for help. So I download it to protect myself from this, or to protect my child, but suddenly it protects me also in my home. So we need to have a few steps forward until it will be more developed. But what I say, what actually I call you, I understand many of you are doing innovation and technology. What actually I call you, you don't necessarily need to take my ideas. I call you, you should come with ideas. You should bring Serbian expertise. You should bring Serbian survivors. You should learn your patterns here in Serbia. You should bring your specialty, and we should think out of the box so we can end this shadow pandemic of domestic violence.
Okay, not to go that far away. Thank you for this presentation and for sharing with us actually this tragic experience. I'm Milan, also from NGO Athena. We are providing support for human trafficking victims. One question on, can you hear me now? One question on this process of passing the bill you mentioned last year in November in Knesset on preventing the murderers to exercise the right of being a parent. How difficult was this process? Did you face any obstacles? And whom did you ask for the support? Like different NGOs, maybe media? And in this way, what would be your advice, for instance, for us if we try to do the same thing? Thanks.
I think, like everything in life, you need to find the right person that wants to be with you in this, and he's in the right position. In my case, it was Gidon Saar, the Minister of Justice in Israel. Last year, he was not a minister, he was a member of the Knesset. And I came to him with this problem. And another legislator called Ded Forer, that last year he was not a minister, but now he's also a minister. Both of them that passed the bill, they are both ministers today, and I collaborate with them also today. But you need to know, I guess, who to turn to with your idea. You need to find the right advisors, the right politicians, to take a politician from the coalition or from the opposition, etc. It's a knowledge that the lobbyists know. And I think, look, in our case, everyone voted for this law. So it wasn't so hard. And my sister was all over the news. And I spoke about her and about this law in the Knesset and in the news. And when me as a sister of Michal, when I speak, it's hard to say no, you know, so I think it helped. I think my sister, she opens the heart for people, and I know a little bit about to open the brain maybe, and together it's probably wins. So, but I'm happy to tell you that your minister that we visit today with Ambassador Vilan, I told her about this legislation, and she said she wants to promote it here in Serbia. So I hope you'll take it there. But I'm here for you. If you want to consult on the smaller details, I'm here.
I'd like to invite you now to join us and to continue discussion over a refreshment in the restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you. Take our dears to Serbia. We would love to collaborate with you. Thank you.